I thought you would do the round of introductions first before I come in.
So we have about 50 participants on the call, and we're expecting more. That will be a bit unwieldy. So I would rather suggest that we hit the ground running, since we are also some 7 minutes a bit late, if that is fine for you.
Okay, that's okay. I was actually just scrolling through the agenda, and I thought that's follow. So I don't know if the back end person can help to put up the slides. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining on time. Some people joined even earlier than the time we scheduled for this event. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my video back on. I think it's useful to have the video while the presentation is going on. So I don't know, Halima, if the slides can be put up for just to guide. Okay, thank you. So once again, welcome, and I would say thank you to the Sterling One Foundation for finding me worthy to provide this discussion on strategic planning and annual budgeting for NGOs and CSOs. And just like OABC has mentioned, this is a very critical part of area of work that we do as development organizations to enhance sustainability and keep us in business, so to speak. So it's a very useful starting point for the end of the year, because this is the period where we're going into the new year, and this is where we should be thinking about how do we take stock of everything that we have been able to do throughout the period of 2021. If you have a strategy already, this is the period where you should be thinking of an annual review of your strategy. And if you don't have one, this is the period where you should be thinking to find a way to design one that would guide the implementation of activities in your NGO. So I think I will start this presentation by asking some few questions that would help us to reflect. The essence of this discussion is just a 40 minutes discussion. I hope I don't go beyond the time that has been assigned, and I'll try my best not to. But I will suggest that to make this interactive, this is virtual, can we drop comments as we go along? Drop comments in the chat box. There will be an opportunity for question and answer at the end of the session. So if you have comments within this
Hello, I think we lost R. Can someone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
That's why I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, brilliant. While we wait for her
yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. While we wait for her to join back, it's very much important that we pay critical attention to some of the dynamics that we will be hearing here today, especially around strategic planning and also around annual budgets, because these two documents are actually accountability tools, and I don't want to get into Ajia's presentation before her, but again, just to mention the importance of the training that we're having today. One, without your strategy, you probably won't be able to know where you're going. And the second is without
Hello?
your annual budget, you don't know how much it is. Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is very unusual for my network, and I've put off the video. Perhaps that's
That
the
would
challenge
help,
I was
yes.
having.
Hello, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Olebe, for stepping in. Like I said, I'm sorry, I think I might have to put off the video. Perhaps the network at my hand is not very strong. And that temporary glitch actually came as a surprise to me. It's very unusual for my network to do that. But I just thought about something yesterday. The organizers of this webinar had loads of numerous plans, and I found it very efficient. Yesterday they called me for a dry run of the link, and I said to myself, what does this mean? Well, I've been doing virtual events. Nobody, calls me for any dry run. Anyway, let me just go in and check. And it was actually to check if the link would work and all that. And it was new learning for me. I've been doing this for many years, and the level of preparedness was actually surprising. And I said to myself, oh, that's their strategy to ensure that they provide value to whoever would listen to this webinar tomorrow. So, but unfortunately, technology still had to fail us. So I think I would start by asking some very pertinent questions. And like I said, this is more or less like a reflection for us. So when I give this presentation, please put your organization in context. Think about your organization as we go along. Think about where you are within your NGO and where you want to be as we go along in this discussion. So my first question would be that, is it necessary? Do you think it's necessary for your NGO to be different? Do you think your NGO should be creating value? Or do you think your NGO requires guide for decision making, building reputation, creating visibility? Do you want your NGO to leave legacies and footprints? There were NGOs before us, and we still remember them as a result of the things the impact they've had on the society to this moment. So, is that the type of legacy you're looking to achieve? If your answer to all of these questions is yes, then you definitely require an organizational strategy. And this is to say that we all come into the development work for different reasons. So there are people who start NGO work because there's no other job to do, and people always think, oh, this is easy. So you just start small by bringing people together, organizing events and all that. And then there are those who come into NGO sector with a definitive purpose, and we can all, so it doesn't matter what your starting point is. What this presentation is trying to help you achieve is to understand that we can all be that definitive and purposeful in the way we manage and implement activities in our organization in the direction that we want our organizations to take. So, so having said that, I'll then ask again, because I said this is a reflection session, how can your NGO create unique value for your stakeholders? How can you create unique value? So for you to create a unique value, you must be able to start this by identifying who you are trying to serve. And why is this important for me as a starting point? Over the years of my experience, I recognize that one of the biggest challenge for NGOs is when you ask about targets. So people always assume they know their target. So when you say, who are you serving? That becomes difficult for organizations. You find stakeholders within the development sector finding it hard to define specifically who their targets are. So for you to have an organizational strategy, you must start from the point of identifying who you are trying to serve. So who is that constituency, or what is that primary target that your organization needs to focus on? And then the second thing you should be asking yourself is, how do you deliver unique value to these beneficiaries or these stakeholders that you're targeting? So, and this is the question, this is the answer that your organizational strategy provides. And that is why having a strategic plan for your organization is very important and very necessary. Okay, having established that, the first thing we need to do is to initiate a strategy process within an organization. We need to have our team involved. That's the starting point. So normally strategies would start from senior management level, but it usually must involve every member of the team. But one very important factor is that before you initiate a strategy process, every member of your team must understand what the strategy is about. So there has to be an understanding that strategy is about choices that your organization will make. So what are the choices that you want to make to enable you achieve the intended goal or the vision that your organization is expressing? And another important thing to understand is organization strategy or strategic planning is long-term. So there are different levels of strategic planning. We'll come to that in a bit. But just to say that essentially, when we're talking about organizational strategy, we're talking about a long-term plan that helps you to position your I'll keep using the word strategically, helps you to position yourself strategically within the civil society ecosystem. And a very one other unique point is, how do you helping your team to understand how your NGO can create unique identities? Now, when I mention this, I'm talking about unique identities. Can you just search within yourself and look around the NGO space? There are over 300,000 or probably more, 900,000 registered NGOs in Nigeria, registered, known ones. I don't know if I'm quoting the figure wrong, but I think that was the figure as at the last time that we got from the CAC, that's the Corporate Affairs Commission. So think about, within all of this huge number of civil society organizations that are aimed at serving people in different ways, which ones would you say have unique identities? You can drop your answer in the chat box. Do you, like I said, put your organization always in context. Do you think your own organization can be termed as one of those having unique identity? Yeah, so just think about it this way. And so for your team to be on board and take ownership of an organizational strategy, all of these elements needs to be tabled, needs to be agreed, and needs to be understood by every member that would be part of the strategy. Now, moving on, I'll ask again, what are the elements of an organizational strategy? So this is not, this might not be a new idea to some. This is learning. So there are lots of people here from different backgrounds. So there are some of you that may have done this in different ways, and there are others that this is a starting point for. But one essential thing to understand is that there is no one road to developing a strategy. No one road leads to developing a strategy, but there are essential elements that are contained in every strategic document which your organization must have. And those are the things that I refer to as elements of an organizational strategy. So I don't know who is doing this. Can you please help me with the slides? Or maybe I should just project it myself. Okay. So when we talk about elements of organizational strategy, there are usually, for me, there are always 7 elements that I consider, which I break into stages. So essentially for me, there are 3 stages of development of those elements of organizational strategy. And this, for me, the 3 stages are, there's the direction setting stage. And this direction setting stage is the stage where you develop the vision of your organization. So consider that your vision statements are statements that are long-term. So these are statements that help you to visualize in X number of years, where would we be in X number of years? Where do you want your organization to be? How do you envision your organization to be in a long, so it's a long-term decision that needs to be made. So there's also the direction setting stage is also the stage where you develop the mission of your organization. So the mission, as different from the vision statement, is that the mission is what helps to define what your organization is and what you have set up to do. So the mission would help you in defining. So while the vision helps you to visualize what you want to be, how it could be how big you want your organization to be in X number of years, and that's why sometimes they say vision statements are usually useful with numbers. The mission helps you to define what your organization is. So what are you, and why did you set up your NGO? That's what the mission helps you to do. And then your goal is also something you set at the direction setting stage. And the goal helps you to answer the question of what. So the goal is the what of the organization. What will this organization do? So the goal helps you to answer that question. And when you put all of this together, I'm sure there's that understanding that the goal, as it is said, should always be SMART. So you develop a SMART goal that has, SMART meaning your goal has to be specific, it has to be measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. I think I've mentioned all the 5. So the direction setting stage is the point where you determine the vision, the mission, and the goal, and sometimes also the guiding principles of your organization. So to determine your vision, it is important to always ask yourself, can be done through brainstorming sessions, but it's important to always ask yourself while determining your vision, where is your organization going and why you're going there. It's important to always answer those questions. And perhaps you may have seen some very audacious vision statements from different organizations. I always use Microsoft as an example. Their vision is to have a computer on every desk in every home, and I think they are moving towards achieving that. So your vision, like I said earlier, is a picture of the future, and for that reason your vision needs to be written in future tense. It's usually future oriented. Then to determine your mission, I'm just giving a further explanation on all of this. For you to determine your mission, you can ask yourself questions like, why did we start? Why did we start this NGO? Who do we want to serve? And what benefit would our NGO provide to those that we want to serve? And that would help you. That will help you to determine your mission statement. So your mission essentially helps you to promote ownership of the objectives that you are, sorry, your mission helps your team to identify with ownership of the processes and procedures that you would roll your organization on. So it's a very important aspect of strategic planning. So then the third one that I mentioned, I said the goal is a what. So the goal is usually broad. A lot of people confuse the goal with the objective. So, and I've had people ask me questions about how is the goal different from the objective. And well, some organizations would even tell you the goal is the objective. So they're usually, but one important common factor is that the goal and the objective are should be SMART, that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So you can you can use your goal should be written in quantifiable outcome statements. So this helps you to explain in each year of your organizational strategy. Remember, I said an organizational strategy is a long-term activity. So the goal helps you to explain in each year what you want to achieve. And that is the point where you start thinking about the key performance indicators that would help you understand how you are progressing on the goal. So these are the direction setting stage for developing an organizational strategy. Then the next stage is the implementation planning stage. So I've spoken about the direction setting stage, and you move on to the implementation planning stage. And at the implementation planning stage, this is where you employ the use of tools and techniques like the SWOT analysis. The SWOT is a tool that helps you to measure strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats within your organization. Now, let me mention something here, because these things are done based on very different experience. In my own experience, for some people, the SWOT, using the SWOT to determine the internal and external strengths of an organization is done at the point of establishing the goal. It's usually done at the point of establishing the goal. For others, it is done after the objectives have been established. So for me, I usually move this to the implementation planning stage because I prefer to use the objectives to narrow down the analysis of the SWOT. So what makes SWOT analysis difficult is that when we want to do it, we are looking at an organization in a holistic manner. So, and then it makes it difficult. So for example, if you say, what is the strength of NGO A? That makes it difficult. But if you're saying, if you break down the components of your organization into, there are usually pillars that you can break down. Hello? I don't know if there's somebody's speaker that is on. I don't know if you can be on mute because it's distracting. Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, I was explaining that there are usually
Hello, Ajay, are you there? I think we lost her again. Hello, Ajay, are you there? Oh, I think we lost her again, and she was passing a very interesting message around the SWOT, the strategies, and all of those bits. But I think so far so good. We've been able to situate the role of our vision, the role of our mission in being able to craft a strategy for our organization so that we know where we're going, how we want to get there, when to know when we are there, and also what does that mean for the resources that we will need. So usually when we stand up at meetings and we introduce ourselves as, my name is OABC, I work with the Nigeria Network of NGOs, and we support non-profits to be able to do their work effectively. Usually it also emanates from the fact that you have been able to understand your vision very well. You have also been able to master your mission, which is vision is your aspiration of what you want the world to look like. And the mission is now, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do to achieve that vision? Just in a layman's explanation, or in a layman's language. Then the goals will then look at what metrics, what numbers are we trying to reach? At the end of the day, what outcome do we want to see? And when you have all of this clearly done, then it helps you to be able to budget properly.
Hello?
Yes, are you back, Ajia?
Yeah, somehow I was muted and I didn't realize it. I'm so sorry.
No problem, that's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, where was I? Okay, I think I was explaining the SWOT. Okay, yeah, so I was explaining that so when you come to do your SWOT, it's important to have not carry out a SWOT holistically on your organization. So you can look at different elements of your NGO. So you look at the finance department, you'd look at the HR and operations and department, admin and operations, you would look at the program department, you would look at the even external, external factors as well. Things like external environment, things that are related to regulation, things that affect registration, legislation, and all that, policies and procedures. So if you use that method, it helps you to define better information about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that exist within your organization. And we should also always remember that the strengths and weakness are internal attributes of our organization, while the opportunity and threats are external attributes of environment. So the opportunities and threats will be looking at external things like government policies, for example. Currently, you may be wanting to ask yourself questions around the shrinking of civic space. How does it affect my NGO? And you may want to plan around that. It's a risk that your organization needs to be thinking about, and then you have to, because it affects activities that you will carry out in your organization. So if there is shrinking of civic space, how will it affect the functionality of your NGO? And then if there are restrictive regulatory policies, how does it affect the functionality of your organization? So these are the type of things you ask yourself, and then you put that in the metrics, and it helps you to build strategy and action plan. So again, this is another area of confusion, and I've been asked several times, how is strategy different from action plan? So the strategy is that broad level, that broad it's the broad concept or the broad approach that helps you to deliver on your project objectives. And the activities are actions that are taken within. Okay. The activity is the action that you take. So let me give an example with our project. So our project is helping to build capacity of civil society organizations. That's a strategy. But the activity under that strategy would then be that we're organizing coaching and training sessions to enhance the capacity of civil society organizations. So I hope that helps to differentiate strategy and activity. So the findings from the analysis and assessment from your SWOT helps you to determine the different action points. So if you say that civil society, shrinking civic space, or civil society regulation is a threat, you know you have to respond to that threat. And in doing that, it would result into an activity you have to design. And if you say that one of your weakness in your organization, that's an internal thing. A weakness in your organization is your inability to adapt or to embrace technology. For example, we know with COVID, a lot of innovations came, and the use of technology became enhanced. And we know that that means for an organization to remain relevant, you must be able to adapt to these changing requirements. So maybe you have identified technology as one of your weakness. You know that in responding to that weakness that has been identified, you must plot an activity around that particular weakness. And so that's how the SWOT helps you to develop the action plans. So with in your organizational strategy or your strategic planning, you have to design actions, to that would be carried forward by the organization to help you achieve that goal that has been designed. So from your action plan, the implementation planning stage is also the stage where you plan resource and budgeting. So you cannot plan resource and budgeting unless you have developed an action plan. So, and this action plan helps you to do a costing of, okay, so we need technology, we need to have consultative meetings with regulatory agencies, we need to have advocacy visits, XYZ activity. You need to, in your strategic plan, you need to be able to budget for all of these areas. Towards the end of this, I hope I'm not taking too much time, Halima and her team, so sorry. Before the end of this, I'm going to explain why it is important for you to do a costing of your strategy. But before then, let me just move on quickly to the next stage. I've said there are 3 stages: the direction setting stage, the implementation planning stage, where you do the SWOT, the action plan, and the budgeting, and then the evaluation stage. The evaluation stage is actually, so I wouldn't put this as a separate thing, because evaluation, so there's a difference between monitoring and evaluation. This evaluation stage for some organizations is is cyclical, because it happens at every point of project planning. So from the design, there's evaluation within the process. There are reflection processes that happens during that stage of planning. From the implementation as well, there's evaluation, and it goes around like that in circle. So the evaluation stage is the stage where you analyze and assess your strategic plan against the goals and the objectives that you have determined. So this helps you to review your organizational strategy. Remember earlier I said that a strategy is iterative. it's not a document, iterative, meaning that it's something you have to keep coming back to when you learn lessons. And so this evaluation stage is what helps you to keep coming back to your strategy document. And that's why some organizations would have annual strategy review process, so it's a long-term document, but it is not it's not a rigid document. It's not cast in stone. It's a document that you can continuously update. And if the evaluation helps you to position that update of the strategy. I think something that I have missed, wanting to talk about who stakeholders that should be involved in strategic planning in an organization. I said earlier that your senior member of your organization are very critical. Strategic planning has to involve the senior member of the team and the board members. The board members are the ones that are primarily responsible for the entire process of your strategic planning. The board members are the ones who makes the decision on whether the consultative process for your strategy has to involve external stakeholders. And who are external stakeholders? They could be anybody. It could include the beneficiaries that you're targeting. It could include donors. It could include consultants. You can have a wide array of stakeholders you want to consult during the development of your strategy. But what is very vital and important is that you cannot develop your strategy without having an understanding of context for the thematic area that your NGO has chosen to work. And that brings me to talk about tools that is necessary, tools and techniques that are necessary for strategy development. So for you to understand the context of the environment in which so let's assume that I am NGO A and my thematic focus is health and education, or let me use an area that I'm very conversant with. My thematic focus is governance, right? And within governance, so governance is broad. If I say that my thematic focus is governance, that's a very broad area. But within governance, what makes it specific for you? You can do governance in health, governance in education, governance in climate change, so governance is a cross-cutting issue. Same thing with people who would say their thematic focus is gender. So rather than having civil society organizations shifting focus to respond to donor request or donor interest, why don't you strategically place your organization in a position where you can think critically to address any type of focus that the donor is bringing using the design that is already in your strategy document. So if a call is for health, for example, and you are a governance focused organization, you can still find governance within that health sector to address. So there's no need for organizations to shift from today I'm climate change, tomorrow I'm health, next year when you hear me, I am doing legislative advocacy or that and that, because that's a common problem for civil society organizations. So what are the tools that is required? I have to be very fast now because I'm conscious of time. What are the tools that are required for NGOs to develop strategy? And the first one I would say is brainstorming is a very good technique for you to develop vision. Like OABC has said, the vision helps you to picture where your organization should be, the future of your organization. So a brainstorming technique is usually very important, and you can have your team members come together to talk about what the vision. So it's not useful for one person in an organization to decide on the vision. It's very useful if you bring your team members together and you brainstorm around where you see your organization in future. And then another tool you can use is the PESTLE tool, and this is a research tool, not too different from a situational analysis tool. The PESTLE tool is something that looks at the political environment, economy, social, technology, legal, and environment, external environment. Is a research tool that helps you to assess all of these areas. It helps you to develop what some people would call introductory part of their strategic plan. Then I've spoken about the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis is good for positioning. It helps you to position. The SWOT is also another type of brainstorming technique, but it is a tool that helps you to position and understand the value you have within your organization. Then another tool you can use is the strategy map. So I said earlier that you can build your SWOT on pillars, different pillars. So your finance, your finance department, your human resource, your program department, and all that. You can use a strategy map to schedule all of these pillars, and then it helps you define directly what is required within the different spectrum of organization that you have developed in the map. So please, I want us to understand that the strategy I'm talking about is not a project strategy that responds to the project that a donor is asking you to design. This is an organizational strategy that talks about holistically what your NGO should be providing in terms of value, and how your NGO should be responding to your goal and working towards achieving your vision. So there's also activity planning matrix. It's called the APM. An activity planning matrix is useful for task prioritization. So you would think about your organization and say, what do we have? When you do your SWOT analysis, it gives you an idea of what you have in terms of resources, both human and capital resources. In terms of technology, these are all part of the resources. So you think about all the things that are required for your strategy to become workable, and then think about what you have presently. So you are an organization that has been established to catch the attention of donors. Let me use that word. Catch the attention of donors, or grant or to get grants, but you don't have it yet. So what can you do in terms of what you have designed as activity within your organization? So this helps you to prioritize. The activity planning matrix helps you to prioritize what can be done in the immediate and what else would remain until your organization gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think this is a very useful tool that NGOs should learn how to use. I'm sorry I'm not able to bring templates because it's a 40 minutes presentation, but at other time, if there's an opportunity for this, we might look at the use of these templates, or you could just Google most of these things. You would find them anyways. Then there's the RACI matrix. This is called the RACI matrix for determining responsibility, and this is a very important aspect of your organizational strategy or strategic planning. So you don't design strategy, activity, and leave it at that. So the RACI is just a short form of saying responsibility, accountability, consultation, and information. So within your organization, who is responsible for what activity? Who is accountable for what activity? Who should be consulted in the implementation of what activity? And who needs to be informed about an activity that has been done? So you use that RACI matrix, and all of these tools that I'm mentioning are really very important, and they are very easy to use. Very, very easy to use. So you use the RACI matrix to determine responsibility, and this helps you to understand what remaining gaps you have, particularly human resource gap. And then it helps you to design another type of strategy. Strategy is multi-level. So it's not just, because we have an organizational strategy. Departments design strategies as well. Teams would design strategy to focus on a specific project. So this helps you to design a strategy on how to get more people into your organization. So you could do a volunteer drive, which a lot of NGOs do not even explore. it could help you to start thinking about, oh, can I get interns? Can I get volunteers? We don't have enough resources to pay salary, but who can we get to? And then there are things that other people do in other countries that we are not borrowing. So there are lots of cost sharing events within NGOs. NGOs will collocate just to minimize the cost of rent. So you would find 4 NGOs. What do you need? You just need a space to carry out your work. You don't need a bogus building to become an NGO. So 4 organizations would rent a place and sit and work together. Each organization focus on the work that they're doing, and they jointly pay rent, and that helps to resources that we have. And sharing on some of the NGO staff, I've seen this in many countries. So people would, like knowledge management officers, M&E officers, organizations would jointly pay for, and these officers are working specific days within the different NGOs, and that helps you as well. So you're not thinking of paying full-time salary. So you're paying people per day as you come in to do. So you have 2 days to do M&E work in my organization. You are doing the same. That person is gainfully employed, but the skills are shared within many organizations, and that helps you, you know, to maximize the little resources, because I know it's difficult for NGOs to lay their hands on enough funds to do what it's non-profit anyway. So it's usually, funding is usually difficult. These are ways, innovative ways we can think about running the work. What I wouldn't encourage you to share is your program staff. Every other thing, think about it. You can have what's it called? A technical person, a technology person coming in to do back-end support for your websites 1 day a week, while other NGOs are using him for several other days. You understand? So these are discussions we need to have within the NGO sector. And then the other important tool is the budget template, and then the M&E template. M&E template is a very important aspect of the strategic planning. Sorry, ABC, I'm almost done. I think I have 2 more slides to go. So from this, I would then ask a question again. Do we think that strategic plan is beneficial for NGOs? Yes, very, very beneficial. I said earlier that you have to do a costing of your activities. It's very important. Why do you need to do a costing? It helps you to understand that there are some things you can take on without really waiting for donor funds. So, and those things you are taking on without waiting for donor funds help you to do fundraising. So you cannot ask people to give you money without having demonstrated the use of your own resources. So it's difficult for you to say, I'm doing fundraising, XYZ, Mr. XYZ, philanthropy, bring money into my organization. What have you done with the little resources that you have? But there are so many things we can do even with technology. When you do your organizational strategy, it helps you open up those type of opportunities. You would see the things you can do. You can do advocacy using social media, and what it will cost you is probably the use of data. And you would keep your NGO running that way. And it helps you to create visibility for your NGO as well. So creating visibility for your NGO, keeping your NGO running, helps you to build legitimacy for your organization. So if I go to your constituents and say, do you know XYZ NGO? And they say, no, we don't know them. There are lots of NGOs. They are dubious anyways. But if you're always out there, you know, consulting with the people, planning together, putting your contents out there, I'm sure if I go to any of your beneficiaries, they will be able to say, yes, we've heard of this organization. They did XYZ for us. The strategic plan also helps you to provide clarity of purpose. So you have a direction. Like I said earlier, no point dilly-dallying between what donor wants. You have a clear purpose, you have a clear direction. Think about how you can fit your purpose within the plan of a donor, not diverting yourself away from your original purpose. And then it helps you with stock taking. So at the end of the year, you ask yourself questions. What have we done? I know there are organizations in our line of work, I have seen it, many organizations that throughout the year, they cannot point to one thing that they have achieved because they are waiting for somebody to give them resources to start. And that's not NGO. That's not how NGO works. Yes, NGO is non-profit, but it is a competitive process. You have to place yourself in the midst of that competition. You should be able to think strategically and be saying to yourself, how do I stand out amongst the competition? You understand? So you have to do a lot of stock taking, and for you to your strategic plan helps you to do the stock taking and helps you realize whether you're moving in the right direction or there's more that you need to do, and that's why a review of the strategic plan is important. And more importantly, your strategic plan helps you to build profile and visibility. So I've spoken about this earlier. If you do costing for your strategic plan, it puts your mind at rest. Sometimes the things you think are difficult to achieve, you realize that, oh, I can even achieve these things with little money. And let me tell you what that helps you to do. So I've spoken to so many donor partners, and I'm somebody that is very passionate about upcoming NGOs. I always worry about rotating grants within the same civil society organizations. And I put this conversation forward a lot. I'm always speaking to partners about why does everything happen within the same set of people? And the answer that I get, which is legitimate and very logical, is that the organizations you talk about, we don't know them. They don't have footprints. You don't want to trust your resources to people who you cannot trace. You understand? So, but when you do all of these things that I've just talked about, you would be able to create history for yourself. Everybody has a starting point. NNNGO has a starting point. For them to be where they are today, they started from somewhere. And these are the type of lessons we need to be learning from organizations that have been there for many years. You also need to do internal reflections as an NGO and ask yourself, why are some organizations unique in the way they do their work? There are organizations, and I will not be mentioning names, that created a unique identity because they embrace the use of technology. So why can't you do the same thing? Technology is not restricted to 1, 2, 3 NGOs. It's out there for everybody. There are new features every day, new technological features every day that we can explore and we can use. Why are we not thinking in that direction? Because we do not have a strategic plan. So your strategic plan is very important to help you think outside the box, so to speak. So I think finally I would say, can your organization still fail even with an organizational strategy? Yes, I would say this with a resounding yes, unfortunately, yes. So what I am prescribing here is not magic bullet. The only way your organization can help, your organizational strategy can help you become what you want to be, what you're visioning, become that visioning that your team, you and your team has put together, is when you use it. If you develop a strategy and you place it on the shelf in your office, it will not it would not bring any value to your organization. If you have a strategy that is not linked with your NGO project, it will not bring value to your organization. If you have a strategy that you consistently use and you don't review, which means you don't have evaluation plans and you don't have monitoring plans within it, it will not bring value to your organization. So I think, I don't know, I think I've run out of time. I'm so sorry. I did not expect that this would take this long, but I just want to leave us with something that is probably a light note, and which I would want people to provide their answers for in the chat box. It gives me an understanding of whether it gives me an understanding of whether you've really learned anything from this process. So someone, I was having a discussion with somebody that was 3 days ago, and we were talking about strategy, and the person said to me, sometimes strategy does not need to be planned. And to an extent, and I was asking why. And she gave me an example of, there's a trending, I don't know if you, how many people are on this I think there are over 60 people here now. I don't know how many of you know, sorry, over 80 people, sorry, to underquote that. I don't know how many of you have heard about a song that is trending globally, that is being streamed, about 40 million views. Is it daily stream, 40 million views. That was a song that a Nigerian guy sang and placed on YouTube in 2019 and left there on YouTube. And coincidentally, somebody picked that song, a very popular model picked that song and used it on the runway for something. And another person picked the song and did a remix, and there was this unique dance that has been appreciated on TikTok, and everybody has gone around, you know, the whole world. I've seen the song in many languages, in Portuguese, in Chinese, in Latin, Latino, in so many, everybody's doing it. And we were talking about this, and I was saying that guy was really very strategic. And she said, no, that wasn't planned. That wasn't planned. And I said, how is it not planned? The person the person had a vision to make music, set out to make the music, put in effort to make the music, placed it on YouTube. That is strategic. But she insisted that some strategies, some things are not planned, they are accidental. So I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Also, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. You can ask your questions in the chat box. I think there's opportunity for hand raise and for people to ask questions. For the questions that I'm not able to answer at this forum, I can assure you that I would provide answers and share by email with the organizers of this event. Thank you, One Foundation, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with people. So, over.
Yes, thank you so much, Afsat, for that brilliant conversation. I mean, strategy sessions like these are taken for like 1 full day or 2 days, but you've been able to cram all of that information in a 45-minute presentation. Thank you so much. And I'm sure colleagues on the call today, about 112 of us, are already clapping for you virtually for that very brilliant presentation. If any of the participants would like to say anything, please raise up your hand, and I'll scroll through. That the participant list as I have it showing on my screen. Yes, I think I have 1, 2. Let me quickly check 3. Okay, so I'm seeing 3 so far. Then I have 4. And so this is how we'll do it. I would allow you to please speak for 30 seconds. If it's a question, just go directly to the question. Ask your questions directly, and then I would provide Ajia some few minutes to respond to that in a bulk. So we'll take all the questions at once, then she responds to them directly. If your audio is not working fine, then you can type your question in the chat box. I can't find the chat box, but I do hope that many of you can find the chat box. You can also type it there. So I'll start with Zang Anna. Apologies if I'm not putting Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. Let's just do that for today. So Zangana, do you want to have your 30 seconds now? Please unmute. Zangana, you have the floor for 30 seconds. Otherwise, I would move to Oluwaseun Samuel. Please unmute yourself and ask your question directly.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So my question is, under the tools and techniques required to develop NGO strategy, the part of M&E templates, I think she, in a bit to beat the time, she skipped that. So I would like to know the meaning of M&E templates and just a little explanation on that. And regarding the last question, which she had, that some organizations do not require strategy, given the example of CK. I would say strategy is important. For CK case, I believe I would just say it's more of grace than strategy, because we have many musicians who also upload their music and put it on YouTube, but none of them actually got to this height. For his case, I would say it's great, but I'm sure strategy is very, very important to achieve anything.
Thank you very much, Oluwaseun Samuel. Lucky Ahiloje, apologies if I do not pronounce your surname or names very well. Please, you have your 30 seconds. Lucky Ahiloje.
All right, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick question. How do we balance this situation whereby we have a donor agency wanting to donate or support the work our organization do by virtue of probably him just having a bunch of cash that he wants to throw around. However, it does not really align with the vision and goal of that particular organization.
Okay, thank you so much.
At what point
aligning with your focus? Sorry, Don?
Yes, please. That's the question. Thank you so much.
Okay, Matt, thank you so much, and apologies for jumping in. I thought you had finished. Musa Monsurat Fumilola, you have your 30 seconds, please. Musa Monsurat Fumilola, can you unmute? Yes, please.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, sir. All right. I said thank you very much for sharing all that we are learning from the group. All right, my question is that the tools and technique that she talked about, where can we get them? Like, how can we get them? Is it something we have to purchase or something we just have to type on the Google platform, Google box, and we get it? How can we get the tools and techniques? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Luisa Ikomon, again, my apologies. Apologies for not pronouncing that very well. Please, you have the floor for 30 seconds. Luisa Ikomo Agbon Ese.
Hello, everybody. Oyebisi, don't murder my name.
My apologies. My sincere apologies, madam. My apologies. I'll learn how to pronounce it.
Echoes of Women in Africa. Actually, it's just an experience we had with a donor agency recently. We wrote the call for application. We sent in our application, and they replied that we were lucky to be one of those that will be given the grant. So in the course of back and forth, trying to fine-tune the budget and all that, they now said that we needed to use our funds to commence the process. That was the agreement, that was the contract that was sent to us. Then in using our funds, if they are not satisfied with the first phase of the project, they will refund the money. So for us, it's a first-time experience. I don't know if it is a common practice now that when there's a call for proposal for a grant, and you send in your proposal and you are eligible and you have been contacted, the grant will now become a loan, or is it a contract that we are doing? So this is a strange experience for us in Echoes of Women in Africa. This donor agency is very popular, and at the end of the day, we didn't understand what they actually wanted. So I just want to share it here. I don't know if other organizations are having the same experience. From being a grant, we're told to bring in the first, go and look for money to bring in the first phase of the activity. And when they come to evaluate, if they are not satisfied, they will not even reimburse the money. So for us, it's a first-time experience. I want to know if it's a common practice now in the NGO sector. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And cost reimbursable would be what you're saying, but I'll let Ajia speak to those. So Ajia, 4 quick questions that I've been able to capture for you. One is around the M&E template. Someone wanted you to talk more about the M&E. The second is a donor who's interested in giving you money, but that donor's focus is not aligning with your own objectives or mission. The third is where can we get the tools and techniques that you mentioned. Then also the last question around the donor granting us, but asking us to go and pre-finance, and after that we'll then pay back. Over to you, Ajia, then we can go to the next session.
Okay, thank you very much, ABC. I would be calling on you to help with answering some of these questions, particularly the last one. what I will just say is that different donor organizations have different peculiarities, procedures, policies. So, so yes, perhaps you might want to read about the policy of that organization to understand why that is the strategy they choose to use. Maybe they have a reason, they have experience, I don't know, that is making them toe that line. So I think it's best you find out from the organization, or probably read about them more. And when you're not comfortable with an agreement or an arrangement, you can always voice it out to the organization. That's why we are civil society. That's why we're working in the development sector. So we should be able to speak out and explain our own point of view, even with donors. So, but I think OABC would provide more context to that. Tools and techniques, where to get them. Yeah, so there's nothing I have invented. Actually, everything I've spoken today or explained today, I've learned over time. So yes, you can Google and you will find them. You would find most of these things. Purchasing, yeah, there are some of it that you may have to buy, but I don't think the ones that because they are deliberately chosen, the ones that are easy for NGOs. I had in mind that NGOs are always finding it difficult to access resources. So I deliberately chose the ones that I know would not cost you anything to design. And you would have free resource templates online that you can use to, you can adapt to use in your own organization. And let me just mention that this is not exhaustive. I just had to provide the little, particularly the ones that I constantly use. So this is not an exhaustive list. When you go online, you would find more. So please do check online. You would find them. Balancing donors that want to donate money to an organization that doesn't really align to the goal of the organization. Again, I would say that there's no straitjacket answer to this. Perhaps OABC would. OABC is an expert on regulatory environment, so he might be able to tell you to beware of financing for money laundering or for terrorism. So be careful the type of grant, how do I put, donors you respond to. Think about your integrity, think about the credibility of your organization as well, and always be careful. OABC would speak more about that, but you have to be careful. It's very important to ensure that the things that you are called to do is in line with the strategic objective of your organization, and then they are they can be situated within the goals and the objectives of your organization. So, but it could also be genuine. So I don't want you to say, oh, I'm not going to take that because it doesn't align with our goal, with the goal of our organization. So it could be a genuine source of somebody wanting to genuinely help your constituency. So think about it very well. M&E tools. Oh, somebody spoke about M&E tools, and yes, I'm so sorry. I did not even realize that I missed that. I probably missed that because I was rushing. I knew that I had 40 minutes, and this event is timed, and I was rushing to ensure that I don't go over that time. So the M&E tools, the M&E template M&E tool is a very important aspect of your strategic planning, because it has to be part of your strategic plan, and that's the evaluation that I spoke about. So I thought I had spoken about that at the point of the elements of a strategic plan. Is one very important element. Is the tools that help you to assess and analyze your goals and your objectives, and helps you understand whether you're making progress in achieving your vision, or whether you're making progress with your milestones or your key performance indicators. So there are these M&E processes are built, like I said, across board within your strategic plan. And some very important thing. So in developing your strategic plan, your M&E tool, the M&E framework within that strategic plan should be able to capture things like your goal, your objectives, your inputs, the activities and the outputs, and at some level also the outcome of your activity. And some people would go on to say that they would capture baseline information and targets and indicators in that evaluation template in the strategic plan. But I think it depends on how you want to do it. Depends on the level of information you want to put in your strategic plan. Please note that when we talk about strategic planning, what makes it Herculean for a lot of people is thinking that it has to be a bulky document. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. Please design something that is relatable. Design something that is user-friendly for your organization. Design something that the organization can use. It's better to design something that is relatable than to design something that you would put on the shelf because it is too difficult to work with. So M&E is a broad session. Perhaps one foundation would provide an opportunity for, or they've done lots of sessions on M&E as well, if they could do a refresher on that. But I don't think I have enough time to go through. But technically what you require is a framework within your organizational strategy that spells out your evaluation process. And that framework would look at your goal, your outcome, your indicator, your inputs, your baseline in some cases, your targets, and then the means of verification for the source of data that you'll be generating. I hope that explains it, and I hope I've answered all the 4 questions. Thank you, ABC.
Yes, thank you so much, Hajia. You threw 2 questions at me, but I would take that as we close. I would like participants to please listen to Mrs. Olakweju Ibekwe as she speaks to us about one product that I'm really, really excited about, and that is the icing on the cake for all of the things you've heard today. Mrs. Ibekwe, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. ABC, and thank you so much, Hafsat, for such a wonderful, insightful presentation. We have little time left, so I'm going to quickly run through the slides. Hafsat has spoken a lot about strategy, so I will speak on budget and the importance of our budget. In my slides, Zima, can you please move forward? Let's make this quickly fast. Let's see if I can speak to this in the next 5 minutes. So the next slide lets us know a checklist that we can look at for our budget. And this would include us setting timelines, having strategic goals, which Hafsat has emphasized, have a review of where we are financially, what's our accounting looking like this year, what were our expenses, what were our revenue, draft the expense budget for the new year, that's 2022. If we're going to look at what we're working towards, draft the income budget for 2022, do the reviews, get your board approvals, and then the next thing is for implementation. Zima, please, can you go forward? But one thing that is critical when you're doing your budget is you have to ensure that your cost is low and your revenue is high. You have to continually look for creative and strategic ways to reduce costs and increase revenue. And that is where, thanks to Mr. Oyebisi and our partner organization, Sterling Bank, we have a fantastic solution for you in that regard. Zima, please go forward. And beyond that, we also have giving.ng. These 2 solutions will help you to reduce cost and increase your revenue. Speaking about templates, we have a template we can also share with you. Is a budget template we will share with you with in the slides that we're going to share as part of the post-event communication for this event. That's for people that have been asking for templates. You probably wouldn't need to Google this. We'll share this template with you that you can adapt for 2022. Now, I was speaking to reducing costs and increasing your revenue. In partnership with the Nigeria Network of NGOs and Sterling Bank, we have come up with a fantastic solution. First, I will speak to giving.ng. Giving.ng is Africa's first free crowdfunding platform, and it's also the only one that gives grants to. Zima, please go on with the slides so that it can align with my speech. You can go on with the slides. So yes, giving.ng is Africa's first free crowdfunding platform, and is also the one that gives grants. for social impact projects on it too. So a link will be shared in the chat box. If you're interested in coming on giving.ng, please fill in your details and we'll walk you through that process. And then secondly, we have Sterling Cares. Sterling Cares is Africa's first free banking solution for nonprofit organizations. And it was conceived and conceptualized in partnership with the Nigeria network of NGOs and Sterling Bank. This product is available for you today. You can sign up also in the link that we put in the chat box for you to be able to get the benefits of this. With this solution, Sterling Cares, you never have to pay any fees anymore for any banking transaction ever again. So it is fantastic, it is unique, it is new, fresh from the oven, and then we have another bite to it. The bite we have to it is that the first 100 NGOs that come on this platform that qualify get 100,000 naira immediately. Did you get that? We have a new bite to it. Beyond the fact that this solution is free, you never have to pay banking charges ever again. You can actually get 100,000 naira once you sign up for the first 100 customers that get on board. I must mention here, you also understand that there will be requirements for you to open accounts, which is basically Central Bank of Nigeria rules and regulations. Hafsat also mentioned terrorism financing. All those are checks and balances to ensure that all of us are safe, because the CBN is just interested in protecting the financial system in the country. So of course, we'll make sure that those checks and balances, we take care of them to ensure that we do not flout any regulation. But apart from those things, these are solutions unique, never seen anywhere before, first in Africa that we have for you. Are you interested? Please just fill in your details in the link that has been put in the chat box, and then we will get back to you on how you can access these unique benefits. To know more about Sterling Cares, just visit the URL on the screen, sterling.ng/cares, and you will get all the information you need to know about Sterling Cares. And I think I've been successful in ensuring that I didn't take more than 5 minutes for that short chat. At this point, I think I would hand over to Mr. Oyebisi. I got the feedback on no link here to be put in the next couple of minutes. Mr. Oyebisi, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Ibekwe. I like it. Money matters, don't shout. 5 minutes, we're done, and we know where we're going to get the money. And we're truly excited to be able to launch that product with Sterling Bank. And I would encourage all the 112 participants on this call at this time to take advantage of that, because overheads alone also need to be looked at and find ways of bringing your overheads down. So costs on banking services also goes a long way in increasing our overhead. But today, Sterling Bank has said to us that if you open a Sterling Cares account, which you would open and have access to for life, then all the bank charges would be dropped, except those that are statutory, which would be those around stamp duties and I think the SMS too. That's all you get to pay on your Sterling Cares account. And we're again truly excited about that. As we round off, let me just answer these two questions that Afsat has thrown back at me to provide some more context to. Then I'll give Afsat and Mrs. Ibekwe 1 minute each to provide their closing thoughts. Then we'll round off for today. In terms of the donor alignment thing, within our sector, there are two issues. I like the one flagged by Afsat around money laundering and terrorism financing. That is the basis for the first thinking, to say, does this fit into any of our activities? Again, she mentioned that, of course, while you are also trying to be regulatory or to ensure that you comply with regulations, you don't also want to lose money, and that's where creativity comes in. And I'll go back to one of our examples when she said that if you're working on governance, it doesn't mean you should drop the governance to now go and be doing something else. You can find governance in health, you can find governance in education, you can find governance in climate change, and you can find governance everywhere. So again, your ability to think through how that activity or
Hello, it appears we lost Mr. ABC. Can anyone hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you.
welcome back.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the system just muted me automatically. So I was just saying that you can get on our website to read about some of the documents that we have produced on AML CFT for nonprofits, so that you get a bigger understanding of what monies you can receive are the ones you can't receive, and including how to report some of this money or support that comes to you. The other is around the result, you getting a grant and the donor asking you to pre-finance. If you had mentioned the donor, maybe we would have been able to tell you what that looks like. But from the little experience I have, sometimes if you are doing a reimbursable grant process, I think it could reflect that, where you are doing the activities and they are paying you back based on activities that you have implemented. Sometimes that might mean that you may use your money till those activities are approved and the monies are paid back to you. So there are different models that everybody uses these days. It's just for them to be able to safeguard their investment in your organization. But if you mention that organization, maybe send us an email privately. We might be able to, provide you some context as to why that is happening. But there are different elements in terms of how donors want to safeguard their investment in nonprofits these days. And that is also driven by some of the capacity gaps that they have seen in terms of our accountability and also our transparency. We've taken a lot of time, and I will now give Afsat 1 minute to give us our closing thoughts. Then after that, I would yield the floor also to Mrs. Ibekwe to give us another 1 minute, and then we will close for the day. Over to you, Afsat.
Okay, thank you, ABC. So I did not know that I would be giving a closing thought, so I didn't practice for this. I think I will just say that I really appreciate the comments. So it's one thing to put out the things that you know, to put out the things you know out there, and another thing for people to learn from it and appreciate. And from the comments, I can see that people actually have one or two takeaways, and for that, I'm very appreciative of the participants and the fact that people stayed throughout the duration of the webinar, which sometimes is a very unusual thing, particularly in this busy sector. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us. Thank you, Selling One Foundation, for allowing me to share. And I'm also welcome to be part of this process, to learn from others as well, because in as much as we have many years of experience working in this field, I must admit that one thing that has helped is listening to people and learning from them. And I would appreciate to be part of these webinars more and more, where other people speak, and I also learn and pick one or two things to add to the repertoire of things that I know already. So a very warm evening to you all. Thank you so much. We'll meet another time. I've seen questions, people asking how can we get her contact to I'm on LinkedIn, to be honest. If you go on the One Sterling Foundation page, you probably find me there, and we can link through, we can connect through LinkedIn. So for those who want to connect with me, just please feel free to go on there, and we'll connect there. Thank you so much. Over, OABC.
Yes, thank you so much, Afsat, and I'll yield the floor now to Mrs. Ibekwe.
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to say thank you to Hafsat for such a fantastic presentation. Thank you, Mr. ABC, for being an excellent moderator always. We also appreciate the Nigerian Network of NGOs for their partnership towards helping the development ecosystem in the country. As I close, I would like to, my final word is, we have these unique solutions that we've shared with you, the Sterling Cares free banking accounts. It could not get better than that. And then the giving.ng, where you can raise funds, leverage in your community, and also get grants from us is also fantastic. So please, I would encourage everyone in the room to leverage those two solutions come 2022. Finally, you can also follow us on social media at GivingNG on Instagram, at GivingNG, and also on LinkedIn and on Facebook to get other updates, because I reassure you, we're constantly thinking of how to make things easier and better for you as we race towards the 2030 SDGs. So thank you so much for your time. Do have a fantastic evening.
Thank you so much, and let me thank Sterling One Foundation. Let me thank Afsat, Abdullah, and Mustafa for also honoring our invitation. Thanks to all the colleagues that worked with us on the back end. We appreciate you, and I wish you all the best for the day and also for the week. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.
Mr. APC, just before we go, I was thinking we should take a shot.
Okay, can we quickly do a screen grab? Can we quickly do a screen grab? If you can turn on your videos, that will be excellent. Please turn on your videos so that we see all our faces and do a screen grab. Yes, the videos are coming on. Thank you. Good to see all your faces. Thank you for staying on. Yes, the videos are coming on.
So turn on her video.
Yes, please turn on your videos. And who is taking the pictures? Are we doing any foundation, any powders, any lights? That will make us look.
I don't know. Hafsat on. Okay, yes, I've seen Hafsat.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
could you please help us take the picture?
The cameraman, 1, 2, 3, roll. Are we good?
Alima, please let us know when you've taken it.
Yes. Do we need to smile, cheese?
Yes, please. Let's smile.
Are we good?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Please, can we be given a few seconds to go to the links and apply?